Topic is acid, base, and the salts. Acids are those which release the S plus ions in the solution. Example is HCl and H2SO4. Bases are those which releases the OH minus ions, and the example is NOH and the KOH. Salt, which is basically the product of the acid and the base reaction. That is your example is NaCl. Two types of acids: strong acid and the weak acid. These strong acid they dissociate 100%, and weak acid these dissociate partially. So there are also two type of the bases, that is your strong base and the weak base. Examples you can see: in a strong base it is NaOH and the KOH, and in weak base it is NH4OH. So the pH scale ranges 0 to 14, and acid is when the pH is less than 7, and neutral is pH is equals to 7, base when pH is greater than 7. Lower pH strong acid, higher pH strong base. So the types of the indicators: litmus, red when acid, blue when base. Phenolphthalein is colorless when acid and pink when base. Methyl orange, red when acid, yellow when base, and orange when neutral. So litmus paper is extracted from the lichens. Chemical properties of acid: these react with the metals and will form the salt and the hydrogen, as you can see the example. And when acid react with the bases, they form salt and the water. When react with the acid, bases when react with acid, then will be the neutralization process, and this is your neutralization reaction. When acid and base these form react, these form the salt and the water. The strength of the acids: if they are strong, then fully ionized, and if weak, partially ionized. So the important salt: NaCl, which is your table salt; Na2CO3, which is your washing soda; sodium bicarbonate, that is your baking soda; CaOCl2, that is your bleaching powder. These are the important reactions. Baking soda heating: when sodium bicarbonate, it will dissociate into sodium carbonate and CO2 and water. And bleaching powder formation: your calcium hydroxide plus chlorine, it will convert it into your bleaching powder. pH of the water is 7, and lemon is 2, and of the blood is 7.4. Strongest acid is your HCl. Strong base is your NaOH. Blue litmus turns red in acid, and red litmus it will turn into blue in base. And baking soda chemical formula is NaHCO3. Washing soda is Na2CO3.10H2O. pH of the neutral solution: 7. Strong acid HCl. Weak acid is your CH3COOH. Base releases which ions? That is your OH minus ions. Acid releases H plus ions. Litmus in acid is red, in base it is blue. Phenolphthalein in base is pink, and methyl orange in acid is red. Product of the neutralization is your salt and water. NaCl is a salt. Baking soda formula NaSCO3. Washing soda formula Na2CO3. If pH is less than 7, then it indicates it is an acid. If it is greater than 7, then it indicates it is a base. So acid plus metal, it will give your salt plus hydrogen, and HCl plus NaOH. OH will replace H will and Na will replace this H, and it will be NaCl and H2. Weak base example is NH4OH. Strong base is your NaOH, that is your sodium hydroxide. CO2 in lime water, it will form the calcium carbonate, that is CaCO3. Indicator for acid base is your litmus. Acid taste sour, base taste bitter. Which is neutral? Your water. pH of the blood is 7.4. Acid reacts with the carbonate, it gives carbon dioxide. And your indicator colorless in acid is your phenolphthalein. Gas released in acid plus metal is hydrogen. Base neutralizes acid, acid neutralizes base. Which forms carbon dioxide? Carbonates. Baking soda heating gives your carbon dioxide. Which salt is used in baking? That is your NaHCO3. Washing soda is used for cleaning, and bleaching powder is used for disinfection. pH scale maximum is 14 and minimum is 0. Strong acid pH low, strong base pH is high. Acid in the stomach is HCl. pH of pure water, that is 7. Baking soda formula, that is NaSCO3. All you have covered. Baking soda NaSCO3 and washing soda Na2CO3. Next topic is your metals and non-metals. Metals are the element that lose the electrons and they will form the cations, and non-metals are the element that gain the electrons and form the anions. So the property of metal is luster is shiny in the metals, and non-metals are dull. Malleability is present in metals, not present in non-metals. Ductility is also present in metal, not present in non-metals. Conductivity is good in metals and poor in non-metals. So state of the metal is mostly solid, and non-metals is solid, liquid or the gas. Metals, when react with oxygen, these form the metal oxide. For example, magnesium, when reacts with oxygen, it reacts magnesium 2MgO. And sodium, when reacts with water, it forms NaOH and hydrogen. When metals react with water, they form metal hydroxide plus hydrogen. When metals react with acid, they form the salt and the hydrogen. Non-metals, when react with oxygen, they form non-metal oxide. So this is your reactivity series. The highest reactive metal in the series is your potassium, then sodium, then calcium, then magnesium, then aluminium, then zinc, then iron, then your Pb, then your Cu, then your Ag, and then your Au. And then this is your displacement reaction, where the more reactive metal, it will displace the less reactive metal. For example, Zn will replace your copper, and it will form ZnSO4. Corrosion is basically the rusting of the iron, where iron plus oxygen with water, this will form a rust, which is Fe2O3. Alloys का composition: brass, copper and zinc, bronze, copper and tin, steel, iron plus carbon. Metals form the basic oxides, and non-metals form the acidic oxides. Amphoteric oxides ZnO and Al2O3. Best conductor is your silver. Most reactive metal is your potassium. Least reactive is your gold. Liquid metal is your mercury. Non-metal liquid is bromine. Diamond is your hardest substance. Graphite conducts electricity. Graphite is non-metal and it conducts the electricity. This is the exception. Rusting needs water plus oxygen. Alloy improves the properties. Most reactive metal is your potassium. Best conductor silver. Liquid metal mercury. Non-metal liquid bromine. Hardest natural substance diamond. Metal plus acid, it will give the salt plus H2, and the metal plus oxygen give the metal oxide. Rust is iron oxide, Fe2O3, and rusting needs air plus water. Alloy of copper and zinc is your brass. Copper and tin is your bronze. Steel is Fe plus C. Non-metal that conducts is your graphite. Most reactive series पर topic on potassium, and least reactive is your Au, that is your gold, which displaces copper, that is your zinc, which is ductile, that is your metals. Brittle is your non-metals. Metal form the basic oxides, non-metal form the acidic oxides. Amphoteric oxide is your ZnO. Metal property is malleability, and non-metal property is your non-ductile. Metal loses electron, non-metal gains the electrons. Base metal for the wires is your copper. Which metal is less reactive? That is your gold. Rust formula is Fe2O3, that is your iron oxide. Which metal reacts with water violently? Sodium. Which is non-metal? Leave it. Metal oxide का नेचर क्या होता है? बेसिक. नॉन मेटल ऑक्साइड का नेचर एसिडिक. ग्रेफाइट कंडक्ट्स ड्यू टू फ्री इलेक्ट्रॉन्स. अलॉय improves the strength. Mercury is used in thermometer, which is not a metal. Leave it. Now, which is the hardest metal? That is your tungsten. Which is most malleable? That is your gold. Which is most ductile? That is also your gold. Which is good conductor? That is your copper. Which is poor conductor? That is your sulfur. Which is noble metal? That is your gold. Which is corrosion? That is your rusting. Which prevents rust? That is your painting. Check out these, and here your this topic is also complete. Next is your physics, in which the first topic is units and the measurement. So types of the quantities: your fundamental quantity and derived quantity. Fundamental quantity are those which are independent quantities. These cannot be broken up into the other quantities. And the derived one, these are dependent on the fundamental ones, and these can be broken into other quantities. Fundamental ones are length, mass, time, temperature, current, and your derived ones are velocity, force, acceleration, right? So the SI unit is of length is meter, of mass is kilogram, time second, temperature Kelvin, electric current ampere, luminous intensity candela. Amount of the substance is mole. And derived units: velocity meter per second, acceleration meter per second square, force Newton, work joule, power watt. Force is equals to mass into acceleration. मेजरमेंट ऑफ द लेंथ: स्मॉल पे हम वर्नियर कैलिपर पे मेज़र करते हैं, वेरी स्मॉल स्क्रू गॉज, लार्ज मेजरिंग टेप. एंड एरर्स इन द मेजरमेंट: सिस्टमैटिक एरर हो सकता है या रैंडम एरर हो सकता है. सिस्टमैटिक एरर इज़ ड्यू टू द इंस्ट्रूमेंट एंड रैंडम एरर इज़ ड्यू टू द ऑब्जर्वर. सो significant, where non-zero digits are significant and zero between the digits are also significant, but leading zeros are not significant. So let's take an example. 54, this is a significant figure, and if we say 54 0 and 4, this 0 is also significant because it comes between the digits. And if we say 54 100, okay, so these zeros, these are not significant. 1 kilometer is equals to 1000 meter, 1 centimeter is equals to 10 to the power minus 2 meter, 1 mm 10 to the power minus 3 meter, 1 gram 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram. SI unit of force Newton, work joule, power watt. 1 Newton is equals to 1 kilogram into meter per second square. So SI unit of length is meter, SI unit of mass is kilogram, of time is second, of force is Newton, of work is joule, of power is watt. Force का formula m into a. Derived quantity is your velocity, fundamental quantity is your time. 1 kilometer is equals to 1000 meter. These you have covered. Unit of velocity meter per second, acceleration meter per second square. Number of the SI base units is 7. Unit of temperature Kelvin, unit of current ampere, unit of mole amount is mole, unit of light intensity candela. And instrument for small length vernier caliper, for small screw gauge. Error due to instrument is your systematic error, random error due to is observer. 1 Newton is equals to 1 kilogram meter per second square. Which is derived is your force, which is fundamental is your mass. Velocity is equals to distance per unit time, distance divided by time. Acceleration is velocity per time, and work is equals to force into distance. Power is equals to work upon time. SI is system strength for international system. Unit of energy is joule. Unit of pressure is your pascal. Significant because figures include non-zero digits. Leading zeros are not significant. And your SI unit of frequency is hertz. Frequency unit is hertz. And unit of speed meter per second, area meter square, volume meter cube. and these are your previous year questions. Next topic is your force and the laws of motion. Force is basically a push or pull that can change the state of the motion. SI unit of the force is Newton. Type of the force, two types of force: contact force and non-contact force. Contact force include the frictional force and the muscular force, and non-contact force include the gravitation and the magnetic force. So the Newton's laws of motion. First law is law of inertia. A body remains at rest or in motion unless acted upon by an external force. This is your first law of motion. Inertia is equals to resistance to change. For example, passenger fell forward when bus stops. Dust removed by shaking carpet. Second law is your rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force. Formula F is equals to ma. Force depend on the mass and the acceleration. Third law is action reaction. Every action has equal and the opposite reaction. Example, rocket launching. Momentum is equals to mass into velocity. Inertia types: inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. Inertia of rest contains when cart pulled, passenger falls forward, that is of inertia of motion. Inertia of direction, turning vehicle. Friction is basically which opposes the motion, useful walking but also causes fear. SI unit of force is Newton. 1 Newton is equals to 1 kilogram meter per second square. Inertia depends on the mass. Momentum is equals to m into v. First law of motion is inertia. Second law F is equals to ma. Third law action reaction. The rocket works on third law. Friction opposes the motion. SI unit of force Newton. Force is push or pull. First law of inertia. Unit of the momentum kilogram meter per second square. And which law explain the walking is your third law. Which law explain the seat belt? First law. Force required, it depends on the mass. Heavy object has more inertia. Action reaction acts on different bodies. Friction helps in walking. No force means constant velocity. Which law relates force and acceleration is your second law. Which defines inertia is your first law. Which law is used in rocket is your third law. Momentum unit is kilogram meter per second. Which increase inertia is your mass. Which law explain the sudden stop of actor is your first law. Force can change the direction, which is vector is your force. Vector basically which has your quantity and as well as the direction, and a scalar which does not have a direction. Momentum depends on the velocity. And which law explains the recoil is your third law. Which law uses the formula is your second law. Which has no inertia is your light. These are your previous year questions.